Hello, everybody. Venkat, thank you so much for coming to this podcast show. Really looking forward for our conversation. To our audience, I just wanted to give a quick introduction to Venkat Bagayat. Venkat has 22 years of experience in software and technology, and out of that, 12 years in Agile coaching, consulting, training. He's worked with several different financial clients like JP Morgan Chase, American Express, companies like Discover, BNY Mellon, and startups like Ray. So tons of experience in the financial technology companies, and also is a trainer with Scale Agile, and also is a John Maxwell certified coach and trainer. So has a lot of experience in coaching, mentoring, training, and in agile space. So really excited to hear more of your background. So Venkat, why don't you give us more your story on how you got introduced to Agile and how you just got started?
Thank you, Vivek. I think pretty much everything explained what I am. Let me tell you how I got introduced to Agile. Completed my graduation. Basically, I was not a computer science engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer by degree. So I got into production manufacturing industry, and then I was on floor. So it is a manufacturing company, and then my nature, my personal nature is of more of a people person. So when I got on the floor into this manufacturing industry, we all know, I mean, there's a lot of command and control from the managers there. People treat people on floor, however educated, whatever is the designation, but people who are sitting in an office versus people who are on the floor. There's always a discrimination. The people in the office treat people on the floor as resources, right? I mean, the word resources itself means something which can be used. But I'm a person. I'm a human being. I cannot be used, right? So that gave me a feeling. Why is that something I'm treated like a resource, just like a table, just like a machine, right? So that made me to switch gears and think of switching my job to another field wherein I can be respected. Now, those were the days where in India IT was booming, and then I was hearing that IT was different in culture. Everyone has their own level. Everyone is respected. So then that created a keen interest in me to switch gears, and then fortunately I was able to do that pretty quick. When I got into IT, yeah, I mean at start, because I all heard it was up to that everyone was getting involved, people were involving other people, though there were managers, but slowly eventually even I saw that so when we call managers, and if the team member has an idea, as a team member, when I have some ideas to make the work better, the culture better, they were not heard.
Mm.
Again, I saw the same behavior again. Say, I'm the manager, I know better than you.
Mm.
You are a worker, you are a team member, just do what I say.
Right.
you know so I saw the same behavior there again. So team members and people were informed by their managers.
Mm.
They were informed but not involved. So again, that again said that, what is this world? I mean,
Mm.
I'm again into the same bucket there, same space there. Then I thought of how to bring that change.
Mm.
So that triggered me, that created a passion in me to bring a change.
Mm.
And then I started thinking upon and started learning about how to bring that change, how to change the culture, how to change the mindset of treating people as people, how to humanize the organizations.
Beautiful.
So that's where I thought, and then I got a small hint saying that, for you to bring a change, you have to trigger a change, being a change agent. You have to be a change leader, and that is how you. The only way you can bring that change is by you changing yourself, you showing that change, you being an example for that. which we all talk today, right now, be lead by example,
Right.
right? And again, at that point, I thought, if you want to influence a manager,
Mm.
at that point of time, you have to be a manager. I saw that two managers can share their ideas and they can work on it. But when a team member is coming up with an idea to a manager, that idea is not received.
Interesting.
So that triggered me. Why shouldn't I become a manager?
Right.
What should I do to become a manager, so
Yes.
that now I can show how a manager should treat his team, and I
Mm.
can share my ideas to other managers. Right? Impact and influence both.
Mm.
So so that's was the start for me to take up project management. So I was hardly having some three years of hands-on experience in different fields, but since then I started pursuing PMP, all these managerial certifications courses, and then I finally got into the role of project lead and project management. And then at that point of time, I started. This is how we need to involve team members. At that point of time, it was the beginning of Scrum, beginning of Agile methodologies. Not very formal certifications were there, but we still had good amount of books. And I started reading leadership books. So one of my favorite author was John Maxwell. I started reading books. So I brought in those ideas, and then I showed up how to treat people as people,
Mm.
humanizing the teams, humanizing the organization. And then that's where other managers also saw. That my assumption of influencing and impacting my peers as managers
Mm.
was successful. And that brought in um, a feel of how the team should be, what autonomy should be given to the team, how should the team be involved in making decisions, which they can make better decisions on. That's how I started bringing in. And slowly, formally, when the Scrum in 2010 and 11, when Safe Scaled Agile framework was getting introduced, so I started picking up all those things, and then I started putting this. But foundationally, um, that the purpose of influencing and impacting the teams and humanizing the teams,
Mm.
so that they feel that they are not burdened or pressurized or commanded, but they are involved in what they are doing. They are involved in what they are doing. They know what is the importance of what they are asked to do. So that was the trigger. So that's how I got into agile mindset change. And
Nice.
I'm a big agile advocate, and I manifest those values. So
Nice. So when you go talk to executives or senior leadership, I know you talk to a lot of them. When they want to hear more about Agile from you, how do you explain to them why Agile? What is Agile? What is Agile mindset? How do you go about having that conversation?
right. So be it executives or anyone, I mean, agile mindset. Now, when we talk about agile, unfortunately, the term has become a verb.
Mm.
You Sorry, it has become a noun. When we say we are an agile team, right? We are an agile organization.
Yeah.
It's not a badge.
Mm-hmm.
When we talk about agility as a noun, you know what? It shows the organization saying that agility is their goal. It means agility is goal. When you tag, we want to become an agile organization. For some reason, these days the culture has changed from the original agile culture, agile mindset, to take agility as a goal. But agility shouldn't be a goal.
Mm.
Agility is a tool to attain the goal,
Mm.
right? So what I focus on is, if you want to take up anything or change the way the agile methodologies, different agile methodologies are in market, and if they come up with, I want to go this, I want to take this, the first question I want to understand is why,
Mm.
right? What makes you to take up agile? There are several reasons. There are several
Right.
reasons,
Yeah.
right? But understanding them at that situation, do they really want to change? the way they are doing is very much important. So my focus is of the first thing is of discovery for me, what they're asking,
Mm-hmm.
and more of a self discovery for the organizations, for those executives. Why do they want to change? Do they really understand that?
Right.
So that is what I say, to understand what is the change they need and why do they need. That's the first point. The second point I focus on is what is that they understand that they have to take responsibility to make that change happen, because leadership, the executives, they are the foundation for the change. They hold the entire organization.
Mm.
So be it the organization's prosperity, or be it the organization's culture,
Mm.
or be it the organization's people, or the beliefs, the values. It's
Gotcha.
there. It's, they are like Hercules. They carry everything of the organization.
Right.
If they are not strong enough, if they don't support what they are carrying on their shoulders, it's going to crumble.
Right.
Right. So the change itself has to be taken positively. They have to believe those values. They have to believe those principles. If they don't believe, they cannot manifest them. If they don't manifest them, they cannot demonstrate or implement them. If they don't implement them, if they don't demonstrate or lead the organization by example, they cannot influence and impact.
Got you.
So this will be my focus. So there's a series of different uh, workshops which I do with executives. You know, workshop, not a formal workshops. There are series of meetings. Some questionnaires. My idea is for them to understand or make a self discovery first.
Got you. Venkat, so let's kind of explore Scale Agile Safe Framework. Why don't you share a little bit about your understanding of what is safe and its framework?
Definitely, Vivek. So lot of organizations, I think, if I remember right, 47% of the organizations adopting agile methodologies or frameworks are adopting safe.
Mm.
Large enterprises, it's widely adopted, and many people think safe has been bringing a lot of hierarchy again, and a lot of terminologies, but so but safe has its own advantage. So scaled agile framework, which is safe, what we call as is, again, it's a freely available knowledge base, allowing the teams to apply some lean agile practices
Mm-hmm.
and scale up to enterprise level. So when we talk about agile practices, many of the frameworks are basic frameworks which talk about how the teams should be structured, what should be the team culture,
Right.
right? Um, However, those don't describe the scenarios where such teams, such multiple such teams come together. Because today, if you see, not a single product in this world is being produced or developed or released by only one single team in an organization.
Right. Especially
Right.
in large organizations. Yeah.
Especially in large organizations and especially in financial products, healthcare products,
Right.
government-based, governing products.
Yeah.
There are even, more than 50, 40 teams involved,
Mm.
right? Lot number of teams.
Yeah.
Now, so many of the frameworks didn't talk about how all these teams come together. Every team is an agile team. Fine,
Mm.
that's pretty good.
Right.
That's what these frameworks talk about. But if multiple agile teams come together, because that product is a common goal for 10 different teams.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if the 10 different teams have to come together to work towards a common product,
Mm-hmm.
how should they work together?
Right.
Right? That became a challenge,
Right.
because every team started saying that, okay, we were not told of this as a priority. Our priority is something different.
Mm-hmm.
So that was impacting the common goal. So
Right.
scaled agile framework safe is bringing all these agile teams together and giving it a guide, giving them a guide how to collaborate,
Mm-hmm.
how to collaborate with each other
Mm-hmm.
and form a one program team wherein that program team is concentrating on accomplishing a common goal, which is a single product, or
Got you.
for that matter, be a product increment, we could say.
Sure. So you're saying that, SAFe encourages multiple teams to come together and have like one common goal for the product and work. The team members go out there and work on those increment or work towards the increment for that common vision.
Correct. So putting it a different way, so if there is a common goal for multiple teams,
Right.
right? If there is a common goal, product is a common goal, right? As we just
Right.
said, the product is created by 10 or 20 different teams.
Mm-hmm.
If creating that product increment or the entire product by itself is a common goal for 10 different teams, how
Mm-hmm.
should they work together? What are those touch points?
Right.
How should the work flow in and how should the work flow out?
Got you.
Right. So SAFe is bringing this discipline uh, of how multiple agile teams can work together.
Got you.
So that's where SAFe came into place.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how is SAFe bringing this and making it better, making the organizations better?
Right.
What happens is, from the conventional organizational structure, we have a positional hierarchy.
Got you.
Right? So we have got, for example, in a software IT organization, we got a developer, a senior developer, an associate developer, project lead, project manager, senior project manager, whatnot.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it goes like, now as I was saying, my initial experience, I was saying, when I was a developer, I had a manager,
Right.
right? So if anything and everything I want, I have to go through my manager.
Got you. Yeah.
And I have to go through my immediate top knot, right?
Yep.
So that's positional hierarchy. So
Right.
now what happens is, with that positional hierarchy, now, as I was saying, influence and impact was more among the peers of the same level. Manager to manager, they were sharing ideas.
Mm.
So that was the relation,
Got you.
isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the networking which was there.
Mm-hmm.
So networking was not through the positional hierarchy. The networking was through the same level.
Right.
Now, what SAFe brought in is, it leveraged the hierarchy aspect of the conventional organizational structure,
Mm-hmm.
and also leveraged the networking
Got you.
among the levels, and
Mm-hmm.
it brought in the functional hierarchy.
Got you.
So it takes out the positional hierarchy but brings in the functional hierarchy.
Mm.
What it talks about is not about the developer, not about the project lead, not about the manager, not about the director.
Mm.
It talks about a small definitions of value which can be released within the span of 2 to 4 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and another magnitude and a higher magnitude of the same value definition.
Yep.
Right. So it is bringing the functional hierarchy there.
Right.
I mean, if we are all familiar with these terms called user stories,
Mm-hmm.
multiple user stories forming a feature,
Mm-hmm.
multiple features enabling a capability, multiple capabilities is fulfilling an epic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And multiple epics are going to satisfy a strategy or a initiative,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's bringing the functional hierarchy, leveraging the network. Now, how is the network being leveraged?
Mm-hmm.
Introducing these roles where we call as Scrum Masters, Product Owners, Product Managers, Solution Managers, and Portfolio Managers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Epic Owners.
And
So
those are the ones that you mean by those are the functional individuals,
functional, yes, that's the functional hierarchy.
because they have a specific function. For example, Scrum Master serves as a servant leader for a team, and
For a
then
team, correct.
an RTE and the product owner and the product manager. Okay, so
Exactly.
there are these new roles that are defined part of the SAFe framework. that emphasizes more on the functional roles than manager, senior manager, director.
Exactly. That's what it is. You nailed it. Right.
Gotcha.
So that SAFe is already leveraging network as well as hierarchy to bring
Mm,
it. That's why SAFe acts as a dual operating system for an organization.
mm, interesting. Yeah, so let's kind of go a little bit more into the values. So how does the value that SAFe has kind of tie into what SAFe is trying to accomplish?
SAFe, as we all see, any framework or any SAFe, I would say, uh, so other like the frameworks like Scrum, the Kanban, Nexus,
Mm-hmm.
uh, DA. These frameworks, they are good frameworks, and they talk about how the product should be created,
Mm-hmm.
right? How the product should be built. So basically, they are like a development framework. When it comes to SAFe has no specific development framework. So SAFe, if you go through SAFe, if we all know what SAFe is. If we
Yeah,
are trying to recollect all these terms related to SAFe is built on Scrum
right.
and Kanban again,
From
right?
XP Kanban. Yep.
So SAFe is not a development framework. SAFe, as I said, it brings in the hierarchy of functional hierarchy and the networking,
Mm-hmm.
and then it guides us how to deliver a product. It is more of a delivery framework than a development framework,
Mm.
right? So when it is when it is talking about guiding us how to deliver a product,
Mm.
uh, because it's a guide, it's based on some certain principles
Got you.
or certain values,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now SAFe has 4 core values.
Mm-hmm.
One is the transparency,
Yeah.
alignment, built-in quality,
Mm-hmm.
and the program execution. So these are the 4 core values. So just to touch each of these values. Transparency.
Mm.
Go through the SAFe. SAFe needs and brings a lot of transparency. So if you talk about right from the beginning, if you start from the beginning of the PI, which is a time
Mm-hmm.
box,
Yep.
the first 2 days is PI planning.
Right.
And we all know what's the PI planning. PI planning is getting everyone onto one platform. All the stakeholders, all the developers, all the scrum masters, all the coaches, everyone
Mm-hmm.
who is involved to take that program increment to success, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it is bringing on one platform. It is opening the podium for everyone to be transparent, clarify their questions, and
Right.
show what they are planning for, what they are looking for, what their understanding is,
Mm-hmm.
express them, and seek understanding. So it brings a lot of transparency. So while the transparency is being demonstrated, we align. There is no transparency without alignment. If I'm saying my team is working on this, and
Mm-hmm.
your team should work on this, will you be able to accomplish that?
Definitely.
Right. We are transparent, saying that I am working on this, you should work on this. Only then I can deliver this.
Mm-hmm.
And you are saying, yes, I can do that. Sometimes you say, I cannot do this because of this.
Yeah.
Okay, if you are saying that, let me do this first.
Right.
Right. So this alignment. So transparency is bringing alignment.
Right.
Right. And then the moment we are thinking about making a better transparency and alignment, there itself is a start of quality which is being built in, right? So a requirement or an intent of a
Mm-hmm.
user, well understood, well planned,
Mm-hmm.
itself gives 50% quality.
Right. 100%.
So that's how the quality is being built in. And there are a lot of best practices which SAFe brings in. We
Mm-hmm.
can talk about that in some other time, but there's a
Right.
lot of practices which the SAFe brings in to increase the quality
Yeah.
built into the product, right from the day it is conceptualized till it is cashed upon.
Definitely.
And by all this, what are we achieving? We are achieving a good plan.
Right.
right? A confident plan by which we can give a good predictability to the customer. When is that product going to come into the market? When can I experience what I'm looking for, so that I can be ready?
And then the way that it starts by is like that quarterly planning, which is
Quarterly
called the
planning.
PI planning.
Yeah, we call it as PI planning, right? So that's
And
the program execution value. So if there is, if there is no program execution according to that plan, you're not going to deliver a quality product, right? So SAFe has these core values: transparency, alignment, built-in quality, and program execution. And the entire framework, I mean, we can see, we can talk more about it, but if anyone has experienced PI planning, we can see that, that event itself is bringing all these values into picture every single second.
definitely. So yeah, we're definitely going to talk about the PI planning here. So a lot of the audience for us are developers, business analysts, product owners, and Scrum Masters who might or might not know the Scale Agile framework. So let's just look at from a facilitator, coach, Scrum Master's perspective. What is the difference between a Scrum Master who's worked on a Scrum framework and then now they're in the Scale Agile framework? What do they need to know?
A regular Scrum Master to a Scrum Master in SAFe.
Yep.
Well, Scrum Master is Scrum Master.
100%.
Right. What happened, unfortunately, let me say this. People who you learn from matters a lot. Now, when there's a lot of buzz going on that SAFe is bringing a lot of hierarchy again, people fail to understand it's not positional hierarchy, it's functional hierarchy. So which has nothing to do with how the people structure is in the organization. If they fail to understand that, they feel that a regular Scrum Master and a Scrum Master in SAFe has different responsibilities. Scrum Master is a Scrum Master asset, and SAFe also says Scrum Master is a servant leader. He is a coach. Scrum Master should lead the team by an example.
Got you. 100%.
Now, unfortunately, what's happening is Scrum Masters in SAFe who are adopting SAFe are being termed as are being looked upon to be again the project managers who really require skills to drive the team and be aware of all this actual work going on, take the status reports, do weekly status reports and all. Right. So what's happening is people are expected in SAFe framework, when we say Scrum Master, to be ring masters.
Right.
No, that's wrong. Scrum Master is Scrum Master. And there's a reason why they are called Scrum Master. Right? Scrum Master is a master in Scrum values.
Got you. Right. Yep.
So his sole responsibility is to make sure that the team he's associated with is living these values, the Scrum values. Only then the team can get better.
Perfect.
Right.
Okay.
So SAFe has nothing to do with the responsibilities. Scrum Master is not different. The only aspect which I see as a additional thing to the Scrum Master is the collaborative aspect. The Scrum Master is because see, a traditional Scrum Master, if you talk about a Scrum Master at a team level only, he should be very transparent. He should be very collaborative with the team members of his own team. When we talk about SAFe is bringing multiple such agile teams, which means multiple such different Scrum Masters onto one platform. Right. So the Scrum Master in SAFe has an additional responsibility to demonstrate the quality of collaborative effort.
Right. So there's a little extra.
There's a lot of collaboration aspect put on to the Scrum Master.
Got you.
He needs to bring in all the teams together. he needs to make sure his team members are collaborating well with other team members, because it's again, now see, now it becomes, every team becomes a team member in the program.
Right. Yeah. Because when I was a Scrum Master for a regular Scrum team, there was like a big room planning, but it wasn't really structured, and people kind of did whenever it was suitable. Sometimes they didn't do it, and there was no structure. But now you're saying a Scrum Master, he or she in the safe team, now has additional responsibility in terms of collaborating with another 6 to 8 teams,
Exactly.
part of that program or the train. And there are facilitation and coordination and
Exactly.
bridging the gap in communication.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
there's the workshops.
When we talk about collaboration qualities of a Scrum Master in SAFE, it
Mm,
involves a lot of facilitation skills, right? And it's just not about him to collaborate with other team members or other teams. It is also his responsibility to make sure that his team members are collaborating with other team members,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it's again a coaching standpoint. I mean, when we talk about collaboration point, it's more of he being a what do you say, another high level coach, just
Mm,
not confined to the team, but also making sure that his own team is collaborating with other team members too.
got you. And then there is the structure of the PI planning and the agenda, which
Yeah.
SAFE is consistent about communicating to Scrum Master. Hey, we have the agenda.
Mhm.
Let's just follow this. So Scrum Master is not only facilitating, but maybe in a lot of the organization, are they also in charge of like helping the teams understand what's happening to prepare for this meeting?
Correct.
Also, like once it happens, like follow up with some members who probably have missed it, or what does that look like in the PI setting?
Yeah. So the communication, right. So Scrum Masters, as I said, in SAFE, will not be driving the delivery,
Mm,
but they will be driving the continuous or relentless improvement.
relentless improvement. Got you.
Right. So they will be driving the team's progress. Team's progress. When I say team's progress, not the delivery progress,
Mm,
but team's betterment.
mm,
Bring the good within the team
mm,
and make the team great. So it helping the team to understand what is the vision,
mm.
bringing in the required stakeholders, be it a PO,
Yep.
be it a PM in the sense product manager,
Mm-hmm.
and be it an architect, or for that matter, any stakeholder, any business stakeholder too. If the team is able to understand
Mm-hmm.
why they are supposed to do
Mm-hmm.
what they are asked to do,
Mm-hmm.
the team will put its best.
Definitely.
So it is important for the team to understand how important is their contribution
Mm-hmm.
towards the business goal.
It's understanding
Making
the
them feel
connection.
important, making the team important, right? Making the team feel important that their work is contributing to such an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that is nothing but conveying and making helping the team understand the vision,
Yeah.
which, as you said, during the PI planning, it is very well important for the Scrum Master to keep up that.
Right.
Another additional thing which I just got, which I thought I missed, is Agile. These frameworks we are talking about time boxing,
Mm.
right? So we commit to certain goals and certain objectives within a time box. Be it at the PI, the entire PI program increment, or be it at an iteration level, or be it at the ceremonies level, right?
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes daily stand up, what we call as,
Right.
or for that matter, refinement session, or for that matter, retrospective, or to be precisely during the team's breakout during the PI planning. Time boxing,
Got you.
right? So bringing the team on track. Focus is one of the Scrum's values again, right? Helping the team to focus on what needs to be focused on
Yes.
in that time. So these are the communication aspects again of this Scrum Master, which elevate the requirement of being a good communicator, good collaborator, good facilitator during the PI planning in SAFE.
Definitely. So Venkat, let's kind of talk more about PI planning, but let's highlight some benefits of PI planning.
Oh, definitely, Vivek. Um, lots of benefits, lots of benefits. Uh, I consider PI planning as a party for the PI.
Nice.
You know,
Party. Who's invited to party?
everyone who you need. You know, all near and dear. When we say all near and dear, all near and dear for the product increment.
Okay.
And
So Scrum Master, product owner, development teams, architects, stakeholders, product managers, solution architects, release train engineers.
all the stakeholders. And we don't need to forget, the beauty of SAFE is, unlike the conventional methods, suppliers and vendors are not excluded in the framework. When we talk about multiple agile teams and bringing all these agile teams together, forming which we call as agile release train, we are not excluding vendors and suppliers. So which makes vendors and suppliers also part of the PI planning. So one important advantage is that we have everyone who is concerned or involved to make a concept to cash, convert to cash on one platform. Imagine all your family members, leaving no one,
right,
coming into one party. Can you plan a family event better?
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Got you.
Right? So we have everyone. The advantage here is quick decision making. So if I have a question or a decision to be made, pending decision to be made, which I cannot decide from an architecture standpoint, I have a system architect there.
Got you.
No one stops me to go and collaborate with system architect if he's available. Mr. Architect, can I do this? Either he can say yes or no, or he can suggest something else. Right? So the quick decision. Imagine if the system architect, these stakeholders who we require to make a decision with are not there, we put an email in conventional methods.
Right.
And we all know
right.
whether the emails are quickly acted upon or how much time would they take. Sometimes they can even be missed.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So quick decision making. Second thing is establishing this face-to-face communication, which is the agile principle, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Right.
Right.
Face-to-face interaction, we can tie names to face. After all, I always say that 8 hours of the 24 hours in a day we are spending at work with our colleagues. If we don't understand who they are, what their interests are, how they behave, what is their personality, if we can't recognize them by face, if we can't tag the name to the face, how are we developing that relationship? Right? So PI planning is also a great platform to build those relationships within that work area. And after all, things can be done well to its best when there are good relations.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's one thing which PI planning brings in, face-to-face communication across all the team members and stakeholders.
Right. And then that collaboration now in COVID times, you can still do that with breakout rooms and Zoom and
so many. Zoom provides a good Zoom provides a good feature of breakout rooms, and so many online tools. But see, that face-to-face collaboration, it doesn't mean sitting on one table face-to-face. It's just about seeing each other's face, be it in person on two sides of the table or on screen.
Yeah,
just to connect face-to-face, right? The other important thing is alignment. The best alignments happen when everyone is in the same room, isn't it? Because there is a lot of transparency. When there is a transparency, alignment takes place very quicker.
So like business stakeholders, developers, they come together and business comes with a context and says, we wanna serve our customers like this. We want to build this. So there is and developers are kind of thinking, okay, how do we go about delivering that solution? So there is that instant Q&A,
So
understanding, empathy, all of that is happening.
it's an interaction, right? It's an interactive planning phase. It's a collaborative planning phase. Sometimes we call it a collaborative design. So the design is not technical design. It's a design how the product is being built, right? It's the way the product delivery is getting designed. It's a collaborative design aspect of it. This is what I want in this quarter. Can you do this? Yeah, we can do these pieces provided you give me this. And we can deliver, we can give you this at this point of time. Are you okay with it? So these are the types of interactions which go in the peer planning. That's the important aspect of peer planning, right? That's the alignment which is happening.
Right.
So while this alignment is happening, this is based on identifying those dependencies between stakeholders and the teams, or between the teams, or between the team members.
100%.
Identifying and fostering cross-team and cross-art collaboration.
100%. So, we've used this in our trainings before. So for example, if a company like Google or Microsoft, were to plan for an initiative, their quarterly initiative, they would have the Microsoft Word team, Microsoft Search team, MSN Search team, the Hotmail team, Office Suite team. So they are different teams, and maybe they would come together and say, okay, well, this next increment, we want to do this. So here's what we need from you guys. And here are some of the risks. So you're sharing the dependencies and risk, and you're visualizing, you're at least talking about it so you can go ahead and reduce them.
Yeah, I mean, it is proved. Everyone knows that, right? However the complex the problem is, it can be solved through talking.
Right.
So this, I mean, the requirement, if you consider that as a problem statement, it can be solved easily when we interact collaboratively.
Yeah. And then I want to do a callback and what we talked about, it can help. A lot of the problems can be solved with talking when the right people are talking. And like you said, instead of just the managers talking, the functional folks talking together, being in the space, yes, that can definitely be very advantageous to a business trying to create whatever they're trying to create.
Yeah. So, and it also brings in the advantage of knowing what the team's capacity is. You have a history of the team, how much. I mean, if you talk about the methodologies we use to estimate the team's capacity, which we call as story points or velocity, right?
Right.
So it also brings in that advantage for us to align and match the demand to the capacity of the teams, eliminating excess work if they are accepting,
Right.
And that's how the triangle is inverted. So in conventional method, the top level or the managers, they commit on behalf of the team, right? But here what's happening is they're not committing on behalf of the team, but they are getting a commitment from the team, giving a predictability to the customer.
Got you. And then the business is saying, okay, well, if it's a 3 months time box, and if we understand your capacity, here are the top features, especially 10 features we want you to focus on in the next. And
it creates the scenario of just the right thing to be done.
Right.
So I use this funny statement, do the right thing at the right time for the right cause by the right people.
Right.
So this statement is all talking about how the peer planning was. This is a true statement which can be tagged to the peer planning. Nothing left. Everything is right.
Yeah, definitely. No, I can definitely see that advantage, even from like thinking about, having UX folks involved, our technical architect and product owner, product manager, scrum master, the development team, because everybody, there are certain things that are important to them. So, a product owner, they're thinking more about the roadmap and the next increment, versus UI UX person is thinking about the flow of like how customers is going to experience the product, versus Scrum Master probably is thinking, okay, facilitation, coaching, improving the teams. and stakeholders has their mind on the money, right? So like, how do we actually survive in this marketplace? What do we need to build next? So yes, it makes sense just kind of really bringing all of them together, doing a collaborative meeting, and coming up with a good good goal for an objective for teams to focus on in that program increment. So that was great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and one important thing is many people think that safe when we talk about these roles, why do we need project managers? But the organization still have project managers. Where do
Mm,
we stand here?
mm,
Right? We have directors. There is no one called as director here. But where do we stand here?
mm,
No, that's where we need to understand. Peer planning or the safe framework talks about those roles which are important to make this framework work, and to take the teams and the team take the program teams to success.
mm,
Doesn't mean that we don't need those roles. If the organization is looking for those roles, we can bring in those roles as system teams here who support, right? When we talk about these roles, we are not talking about resourcing. We are not talking about people employment.
mm,
Who needs to take a decision of who should be in the team, right?
mm-hmm.
Recruit the team members. So
Gotcha.
those things can be taken care by these people, people managers.
Mm,
But
yep.
right, so they can be part of that PMO team, which acts as a systems team, supporting the program team, supporting the art from the outside,
Yeah.
right? So there might be dependencies tagged to this also, letting them know that we need so many people. We want to recruit them by this time, right?
Got you.
So those dependencies can also be identified here. So it gives, so it provides a platform for all that is required to make the product happen or to make the product increment happen successfully.
Definitely. So let's kind of go deeper into the PI planning. So let's look at from the inputs of PI planning and outputs. So in terms of inputs, I'm thinking about the business context. So the business, bringing the business
Yeah.
context, and providing the roadmap and the vision and those top 10 features. So what does that look like when you are actually in a PI planning?
So for first thing is there's a lot of preparation to be happening before the PI planning, because that is the pacemaker of the framework,
100%.
right? That's the heartbeat. So if the PI planning is taken light, the PI by itself goes light, right? So why we want the business context as a first element, or the first uh, as the first start point for the PI planning is because everyone needs to know why we are doing what we are supposed to do,
Mm,
right? This is where I bring in that the beauty of this conveying this business context to the entire art, to the entire program team, is involving them. It's not information, it's involving,
mm,
right? And this is a start point for seeking the involvement of the entire program team. So by giving the business context by the business owner, it shows to the entire program team that, okay, this is what my organization's goal is.
mm,
Now, understanding that and knowing what area I'm working or what my skill set is, what
mm.
I'm supposed to contribute for. How should I contribute best towards that?
Right. So
It gives them,
I want to ask you a few things. So like a business owner, how do we define business owners? Would you say?
all right. So one one of my patrons in one of my workshops, and I asked this question, and I like that answer.
Mm,
I asked that, who do you think is a business owner?
mm,
So many different answers. Today in conventional terminology, we call as business sponsors,
mm,
business managers,
mm,
some senior executive from the business side, not
mhm,
from the IT side. But
mhm,
when we talk about agility, when we talk about especially safe, right? Safe
mm,
brings in a lot of aspects on business agility. When we talk about business agility, giving the customer centricity as a focus, if we don't differentiate between the business and the IT, When we talk about agility, there is no business team or there is no IT team. So they have to be together,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how the cross functionality comes in. Now, when we talk about owner here, I would say he is the accountable person to seek or to fetch the business value
Mm.
from the art.
Somebody who receives the business value from the art when the work is done.
Someone who sees and monitors and measures the business value from the art.
Absolutely.
And he is accountable for that.
So, yep. So the business owners, he or she, they will come in and feed the business context.
Correct. And the funny statement which that patron told is, uh, so a person who will be kicked off from the organization if there is no business value coming from the art.
All right. So this business owner is a person who will get kicked out of the organization or get fired
Yeah.
if they don't see the value coming out of that art.
Yes.
That is
So because he owns that. That's the importance of the business owner, and that's the importance of him coming and conveying the business context, the entire art clearly and well enough for the entire art to understand it.
definitely.
That's the very first starting point of the 2-day PI planning event.
Mm.
And then based on what my business is looking for, what's my business goal is,
Mm.
understanding from the business owner and through the business context he gave, what should be the business, what is my business vision. Now in this business vision, my organization has several different products. One of the product is this team, this entire art, this product team.
Mm-hmm.
Now to that business goal, how should my product be contributing?
Mm.
What is that my product can help to achieve that business goal?
And then for when you say my product, are you saying from a team's perspective?
From the entire program art, from the art perspective.
Okay, from art perspective,
Yeah.
got you.
Yeah. So what is that vision which is in line with that business goal for this product? So that's the product vision, which is one of the important input to the peer planning.
Mm.
Because peer planning happens at a program level, which is a product team, which is one
Gotcha.
product, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is my product's vision?
Mm.
What is our product vision for the coming 3 months, for what we call as a PI, right? 10 weeks.
Right. And who's
And the next. What is the roadmap?
got you.
What is the vision, right, for this particular product?
Got you. And then who's presenting that vision and in what form? Is it like somebody coming in and sharing? Or is it
Yes.
something in the whiteboard? And who
Yes.
does that?
Yeah. So the product vision is owned by the product manager.
Product manager.
So when you say product manager, again, we all need to understand, he's not managing the product team. He's managing the product itself. By meaning, how should the product get delivered, in what increments, when should a particular feature of that product be released? So he's going to manage the product. That's why it's called a product manager. He is the person who is going to create a vision for the product, and he's the one who creates, who communicates, and who make adjustments to that vision. He's the owner. When he's giving that vision, he also will tell, well, this is my vision, but how to achieve that? My plan is, if we implement these features,
Mm.
if we implement these features, or if we create these new features on the product in these 3 months, we are going to accomplish this vision.
Got you.
So that's where the important inputs to the peer planning is a product vision and the prioritized features.
Yep. Okay. So let's say if Pat, the product owner, is coming up with a vision, working with maybe the end users, customers, and coming up with these bigger vision. Patricia, product owner, she is working with the team and making sure that vision is reflected on the product backlog, on the day-to-day work, the feature, the user stories, and she is relaying that information to the team and kind of collaborating with the product, Pat, the product manager.
Exactly. And the Patricia and Pat both works very closely.
Very closely. Got you.
Very closely. And
So,
Pat is more of the business side. He understands the business. He understands the customer needs. That's how he's creating the vision.
mm,
And Patricia takes that, and then she's driving the development of to meet that vision.
got you. Got you. So, okay, we've got the roadmap, we've got the vision, and
Yeah.
then now the top 10 feature of the program backlog. So,
Yeah, there's one important aspect here, Vivek. So
yeah.
once the product vision is given, we talk about the business features here. Right? We talked
Mhm.
about the functionalities here.
Mhm.
Now, not all product. I mean, not all the software, not all the product by itself can take in new features,
Mhm.
uh, which are prioritized. So what
Mhm.
happens is, what is that technical change we need to make?
Ah.
What is that architectural change we need to make to accomplish this vision?
Mm.
Will the product support? For example, if I'm introducing a couple of features and that incoming traffic is increasing by 70%, is the server able to take that in? Do you want
100%.
to increase the capacity? What are those architectural changes? What are the technical practices for us to be better, for to make the product better than how it was?
Got you.
What are the different tools we might need to use? What are the new tools which we might explore?
Mm.
So after the product vision is conveyed, the system architect comes and then delivers or communicates this architecture vision,
Mm. Got you.
so that the entire team understands how the product should be built, meeting the business context or the business goals conveyed by the business,
Got you.
right? So these are very important inputs to the PR planning.
100%.
Right.
So just to kind of summarize, business context, roadmap, vision, top 10 features of the product program backlog, and then the input from the architects. And so that is our input for the PI. And let's talk about the two primary output that SAFE says. One is the committed PI objectives and the program board.
Exactly.
So let's just start with what are PI objectives and what do they look like when they're committed?
Right. So PI objectives, see, requirement or features might be termed as a requirement, right? Requirement is one thing. Functionalities which we develop for to satisfy those requirements are another thing. What are we trying to accomplish when we are putting these features?
Mm,
What is the final output? That's the number. That's the features.
mm,
But what we want to focus on is what is the outcome,
mm. Very important.
right? The outcome is more important than the output.
100%.
So the outcome from the user's standpoint, user's experience standpoint, what to what extent we are solving the user's problem, to what extent we are enhancing the user's experience.
Mm,
Okay, so those are the objectives,
mm,
right? For example, if I take building a login page, just a
mm.
simple example,
Yep.
right? Right. So there are different features: forgot user ID, forgot password, remember password, all those things. But what is the objective of that page? The objective of that page is simple: give the user a capability to create a password, a user ID, so that he can, when he enters and clicks in, he logs into the application or the product.
Got you.
So one of the principles of the SAFe is also is base milestones on the objective evaluation of the
Mm.
software.
Objective evaluation of the software. Those are the key
Yeah.
base milestones.
Yeah, it's just not about the working software. It's about the objective attainment or objective evaluation,
Mm,
right? So that's very important. So of all these 10 features, of all these 50 user stories by the team, what are we trying to accomplish? What is the objective of we creating these small packets of value and releasing? What are we going to achieve as an objective? in terms of business language, every team comes up what they are contributing
Mm,
in 1, 2, 3, 4 lines,
got you.
right? So that's how the business objectives are framed by the team.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so, yep. So committed PI objectives and the program board. Let's talk about the output of the PI, which is the program board. How
Mhm.
does that actually, what does that look like when that's ready?
So yeah, program board, as it's a working board, it's a daily working board, it's an information radiator for the entire art. So it shows when are the features which are committed getting accomplished or getting done.
Mm,
It plots the features which are committed, which are planned for the PI, uh, on the horizontal, on the time frame, or what would I say is, in which iteration the feature is getting done,
got you.
right? And the most important thing which the program board also shows us is a significant dependencies for accomplish or for making those features done.
Mm,
What are those significant dependencies within the teams in the art? How are the teams dependent on each other?
got you.
How are the teams dependent on teams which are outside the art?
Mm,
What are those significant dependencies? So it gives a good information for us. It gives a good picture about what is the plan, what are those dependencies which we need to address,
mm,
what are those dependencies which we need to take care of for us to make this plan happen successfully. So that program serves as a team board for the program team. So every day, just like a daily stand up, we do have stand up calls at a program level.
mm-hmm,
So they go through that board. Are we on track?
mm-hmm,
If you are not on track, what is that holding us off?
right.
What is that dependency which is not getting addressed? What should we do?
Yeah, so just like a board on a program level that kind of
Yep.
shows what team is doing, working on what are the dependencies, what might be some risks. So just a visual way for teams to understand what they committed to and what they're working towards.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, Venkat, let's just dive into the agenda. What does the 2-day agenda look like for PI planning? And now it might be 3 days with remote
With the
uh,
remote happening. Yeah, because yeah.
3 or even 4 days, right? So what are the high levels of like the agenda of the PI?
Yep. So one thing I would like to start with is, before this all happened, before this emphasis on remote collaboration came in, the peer planning is usually a 2 days agenda, 2 full days agenda, and believe me, 2 days is worth. Many people tweak it. We don't have time. Can we make it one day? Can we make it half a day? But having it for 2 full days, it's really worth. So let us take that, instead of taking as day one agenda and day two agenda, let's take part one agenda and part two agenda, because we might, given the situations right now, we don't have to have day one and day two, because we might have to manage our time, what goes on the first day, what goes on the second day. So it might not, sometimes it might be 2 full day we can manage if there are more agile teams, mature agile teams, right? But but it, but that's very hard, because remote collaboration takes more time, at least to start with these days, right? So that definitely is, it's going to be a bit crunch and difficult for 2 days. So let's take it as part one agenda and part two agenda. So the part one agenda starts with, as we were discussing earlier, it starts with the business owner coming in and giving the business context, business goals. The different ways of conveying that is, talking about the SWOT analysis, and the business vision, uh, talking about the competitors, talking about what difference we need to make. So that's about the first starting point, as we were saying, business context. Then comes the product vision, along with what are the top features, prioritized features we need to plan for. and seek agreement and alignment from the teams, which is conveyed by the product manager again. And supporting to that product vision, the next event happens is the architecture vision, which we talked about. The solution architect comes in and talks about how how should the technical stack be to support the product vision, which in line satisfies or helps our business goals to be met. So business context, product vision, architecture vision. So what happens is then comes the planning context, wherein the RTE who is facilitating this entire thing is going to introduce, because not everyone or not anyone knows who is what. As
Roles.
I was saying, the face-to-face communication, the
Right.
relationships, we know names, we don't know the faces. Sometimes we know the faces, but we don't know the name. We know name, we know the face, but we don't know the responsibility of the role they are playing in, right? So this is where the planning contest comes, and the RT introduces key participants so that everyone knows. So who is the system architect? He's Vivek Khatri. He's a system architect, right? XYZ is a business owner. Someone else says he's the product manager. Someone says he's another facilitator. He's an SME in this area. So that interaction has to happen so that everyone knows who they have to reach, the right person to reach when they have a question or a clarification or any guidance to be seen. Right. So after that is done, what happens is taking in these top 10 features, or top prioritized features, the teams start to plan their iterations. So that event is called team breakouts. Now here comes the challenge, especially during this remote PI planning, right? And we have tools, and Zoom, for example, it gives a very beautiful feature, breakout rooms, right? So we can have one parent meeting going on, and then when the team breakout comes, we can get into the breakout rooms, create their own team rooms. Right? So team breakouts is all about getting a feature, understanding what that team can contribute to complete that feature, and deducing that feature into user storage, which they can accomplish.
And Venkat, this is just a 3 hours meeting, right?
This is 3 hours team breakouts, yeah, and we need to be cognizant about it. And one of the important, as we were talking, one of the important duty of the Scrum Master is to make this time box.
Right. So there's time boxes. So just to kind of summarize what you said. So business context, business owners comes with a business context. Then we go into, so that's an hour meeting, hour and a half meeting for the product vision. So the product presents the product vision.
Yeah.
So, and there's another hour meeting that is the architecture vision and development practices. And then for another hour and a half, it is planning, context, and launch. So that's kind of built into the agenda. And then the 3 hours is the team breakout. So this is going into 7 hours of the day if you were to do in one day. And out of the team breakouts, you're saying that team members are working on the user stories, maybe looking at what do they look like on the what are the part of that features that they selected.
Correct. How can that feature be decomposed into user stories, refine them, and just understand to the extent that they can estimate into story points, estimate them, identify significant dependencies. When they are refining these user stories, understanding the user stories, it's that point they understand the dependencies with other teams.
Got you.
Go align those dependencies, and then update the program board there.
Got you.
That's what happens in teams breakout. And at the end of the teams breakout, each team will come up with their draft PI objectives, their draft iteration plan, and based on that plan, what are the objectives they are trying to accomplish.
Got you.
Right. So that's how the session ends that day. And then what happens is we let all the hands-on teams, like the development teams, leave for the day, take rest for coming back. Right now, we have other stakeholders like the product manager, the POs, the Scrum Masters, the business stakeholders, the RT. Everyone stay back for another 45 1 hour minutes, and then what we do that time is called something called as management review.
Mm.
And
Manage.
that's basically to understand what we all have learned by going through the plans of each team,
Got you.
what we have learned by going through the objectives of the each team, what have we learned, what are the risks we saw that the
Mm.
teams have brought in, how should we solve for that risk, what are those decisions to be made to make the team come tomorrow and come up with a better plan.
Right. And I have a question, Venkat, here on, so if you go draft plan review, so in that review, is the team pitching, or how is that, what does that review look like, especially in remote environment, right?
Yeah, so what happens is, so this draft plan review, it's basically done by the product manager, the POs, and the business stakeholders can accompany. But it is basically on this part one of draft plan review is done with the product manager.
Mm.
Now, when the product manager comes, he looks at the team, explains the plan, what features they have taken up, how they have broken up into user stories, and how are they planning to deliver those user stories accomplishing that feature,
Mm.
and what are the significant dependencies, and if there are any risks which they want to bring in, they also talk about that. This is the risk. Sometimes we don't know the tool to be used, the decision has to be made,
Mm.
right? Something
Got you.
like that. We don't have enough licenses, we have to procure those licenses,
Mm.
right? Something like that. So understanding that, why PM comes and looks at is because he's the one who is giving the product vision. So he needs to guide the team, direct the team to a better plan, and because objectives are important, not the outcomes, outputs,
Right.
right? Right. So the
And
PM is coming along the POs, and the team it's a conversation basically.
100%.
Yeah. So the management review is all about making those decisions between that time and the next start,
Mm.
the next event starts. Part two, which we call as now, right? The part two starts. What are the different decisions to be made? What are the adjustments to be made between now and then, so
Mm.
that the team comes back and refines that plan to be a better plan.
Got you. And then this is all hands on. So that, let's say if we're imagining Zoom, this is maybe RT facilitating.
Right.
This is what we came up with on the part one, day one of the agenda. This is what we accomplished. So now, what do we need to adjust? So, what kind of adjustments are we talking about?
So we are talking about adjustments about the scope, rescoping and descoping
Mm.
of features. We are also talking about reprioritizing and deprioritizing the features.
Mm.
We are also talking about, based on the risks, based on the rescoping, descoping, and reprioritizing and deprioritizing features. We are also talking about any adjustments to be made to the product vision.
Mm.
We are also talking about people movement here.
Mm.
So when I say people movement, it's not about moving Vivek from this team to this team.
Got you.
What we are talking about is, how can we make Vivek, who is a part of this particular team, more closer to this team? If he is remote, can we bring him into the office? I mean, in this situation, it might not work. It's not more relevant talking about people movement here.
Right.
But when the office resumes, right? So
Mhm.
we are talking about people. If many organizations have team members working remote, or
Right.
maybe in another location,
Mm.
is it fruitful enough? Is it more valuable if Vivek comes and sits with the team here? So
Right.
those adjustments.
Right. And that's a whole different conversation. And this
Yeah,
is where I think we need to be agile in terms of adjusting and responding to change
exactly.
because of COVID. So,
Right.
okay, great. And then,
So that after that, it's the responsibility of the PMP and the RTE
mm,
take note of these things, decisions made,
mhm,
document or record them basically,
mhm,
and get the acceptance from the entire stakeholders.
mhm.
And then the next part two starts.
Part two of the team breakout.
Part two of the peer planning. Part two of the peer planning starts with communicating these planning adjustments.
Mm,
And it is very important. It starts with communicating these adjustments because it is the input for the teams to take in those adjustments, understand those adjustments, and refine their plans.
got you.
So the PM comes, the RTE and the PM come, they take the ownership of communicating these planning adjustments which we made yesterday.
Mm,
And then the next event is again the final team breakout.
mm,
based on these adjustments which were communicated, the teams go back, they look back into their plan and they refine those plans. So the existing risks which they pointed out yesterday might go off. There might be new risks which might come up.
Mm.
The dependencies might have been addressed. There might be new dependencies which might come up.
Right.
Right? The magnitude or the level of risk might be reduced, or sometimes it might be whatever. So all these inputs, which planning adjustments, which we take as input, it is all to refine the final plan. And the end of this team records is where they come up with the final plan and the final PI objectives for each teams. Okay, so that's very important. That's again, it's another 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. This thing. Then comes now the final plan review.
Mm.
Okay, the final plan review is done by the business owner, because now that the final plan is done, he needs to know what is the business value the team is committing to generate by planning out these features.
Mm.
So he needs to understand. So it's the business owner who comes, and he's the one who goes through and he understands each team's PA objectives.
Mm.
And there's an activity which is called business value assignment. We may dig deeper there. So it's for the business owner to show the team how important is those objectives to his business goals.
Got
So
you.
business value assignment happens.
And then
Yeah, the
in
lunch
a normal
happens.
situation, they would have like lunch
Yep.
in that time. Okay.
Now comes the important thing. What are the final risks?
Program risk. Got you.
Program risks. We talk about, so we have to, each program will be taken up, discussed upon, understood well. And then, if there is any resolution which can be made, we decide upon that. If there is any mitigation workaround, whatnot, we discuss upon that. And, we bucket them. Basically, we bucket all those risks into 4 buckets called resolved, owned, mitigated, and accepted. That's called as a Rome exercise there.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we planned out, we know the features, we've decomposed into stories, we planned our iterations, we came up with PA objectives, the business value assignment happened, the business owner accepted those PA objectives.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed upon the risks, we bucketed them. Now what? The plan is ready. Now with this plan, with this risk discussed, with this objectives accepted the business owner, how confident are we that the plan we made can be successful? That's a confidence vote, which each team demonstrates for its own. And once that is done, the entire program team gives that confidence vote.
So when we say we, so it's the development team,
yes,
teams, they say how confident do they feel, and then the entire program
yes, interact, right? Now, this seems to be very simple exercise, but it's very important to get this shared commitment. Right. So as one team, we are confident, we are committing to this plan, we are saying we are confident. As the entire program team, we are saying the entire PR objectives, the entire feature, the entire program goal looks good, we are confident about it. Right. That gives a confidence for the stakeholders also to assume that predictability and commit to the customers. So that gives a good predictability.
Got you.
Right. So that's how the conference goes on. And then comes the, if the conference is low, if there is a varied conference level, then there might be a need for, plan rework.
Right. So in a fist of 5 group exercise, if there's, 2s or 1s.
Yeah. If the weightage of 2s and 1s is more, then we might need to ask them, well, how can we increase? What makes you feel low confidence? How can we help for you to get that to that conference level?
So going back to transparency and creating shared understanding. Okay, what is the challenge? Let's share it out. And how do we need to rework the plan? Got you.
Exactly. That's the thing. So once that is done, I think we are all good. So once the conference is reached, that's good. So we are all confident. That's what the commitment is coming from. Now, for any event, SAFE has, or for that matter, any agile philosophies has the intent of continuous improvement. SAFE emphasis on relentless improvement.
Mm,
Come what may, I have to improve. That's the relentless improvement,
100%.
right? So for this event, which happened, what are our learnings? How can we make the next PI planning better?
Right.
Whatever this, so that's the retrospective which happens, and retrospective is not for the plan; it's for the planning event by itself.
So in this last days, or let's say 3 days, if they did it remotely,
Right.
what
How
are
could
some good things happen? What are some improvements that we need to do for the
we need to do?
next PI
How could
planning? What are some things that we can do right away so that we can set it up
yes?
for the next one?
How could we do better PI planning event next time?
Got you.
So that
So,
there ends. So once that is done, the items from the retrospective goes into the program backlog because we need to improve,
got you.
right? So we need to take action items, put it to the program backlog,
Mm,
prioritize them, and show improvement in the next PI planning.
got you.
There ends the PI planning, and believe me, 2 days when we say or whatever the two parts, the time investment in this, it's really valuable.
Yep.
It's really valuable. We can feel the difference if it is done right. It's really valuable.
Yeah, a lot of ahas, developers and business talking, which is one of the Agile principles, having a business context, understanding what's really, really important, what's the must-haves, and also at the same time, understanding how the developers are feeling, how confident do they feel about this plan. So yes, definitely can be impactful. And just to kind of summarize, we talked about the day, part 1, part 2 agenda. Again, it can happen over 2 days or 3 days now in the remote world. How do these things that happen within the PI planning, how do they align with some of the core principles that we talked about? Transparency, alignment, built-in quality.
So when we talk about these agendas, different events which we talked about, business context,
Mm,
there is no reason why business context should be done. Why should I communicate business? I'm a director. I'm a business owner. Right? Why should I? As I said, the reason why they are communicating is to let the team, everyone know, being transparent about what my goal is. Right? Creating a transparency of what, as an organization, I'm anticipating my organization to be.
mm,
Right? Second thing is an alignment. Now, this is my goal. Are you ready to do that? Can you do that, please? Right? Creating an alignment of this is my goal. I want your contribution towards my goal.
mm.
So what is that contribution? And the teams come up with this plan. I said, yes, this is in line. Oh, I'm aligning with your plan. Once this alignment and transparency is taking place, the moment you are thinking of a feature and
Mm.
decomposing that to shippable, testable, and valuable increments, which are called user stories, and releasing them by understanding them well and prioritizing them well, you're already generating a quality. By defining them well, you're already generating a quality. So the quality is being built right from not only during the development. The quality is being built right from the point a feature or a user story is conceptualized. Right from the conceptualization or the right from the creation of the vision itself.
Mm.
And we saw this, right? Teams collaborating, stakeholders being there to help the decision making, stakeholders coming and understanding the challenges of the team and helping them to solve those,
Mm.
understand the risks and helping them to resolve immediately,
Mm.
helping the team collaborate each other, building relationships, and finally coming up with a confident plan, program execution.
Absolutely.
So all these values are living. The PI planning manifests, it lives the values of the SAFE.
Got you.
And experiencing a PI planning is a mind-blowing experience. Believe me. We can, every single second in these 2 days or in these two parts, all these 16 hours or 17 hours or 15 hours we are investing, every second we can actually feel these values.
100%.
That's why it's the pacemaker. That's the heartbeat.
Great. Well, I think we've beautifully summarized the agenda, the core of the SAFE, which is the PI, and PI planning. So yeah, so that kind of brings up, kind of sums up a lot of what we wanted to talk about today. So thank you so much, Venkat, for this
Thank you,
conversation.
Vivek. Thank you very much.
Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. We will sure to come back with more exciting videos on Agile topics.